Hey there, and welcome back to Let's Travel Together. And thanks for coming along with us on our 7-day Caribbean cruise on the brand new Norwegian Cruise Line's Aqua ship. The new NCL Aqua is a redesign of the Prima class ships, the Prima and the Viva, and is considered what's called a Prima Plus class. The ship does hold about 3,500 passengers and is around 156,000 tons. On this cruise, we ended up departing out of Orlando at Port Canaveral, and we were using the same terminal that MSC Cruise Lines typically uses. Just a helpful tip here, go ahead and get your dining reservations done as quickly as possible. They do open up ahead of time about 120 days before your cruise, otherwise you're waiting in that line. And here we are on the pool deck getting ready to do the sail away party. This pool deck does get very full very quickly. So on this 7-day cruise, we're going out of Port Canaveral, spending a day at sea, going to Puerto Plata in the Dominican Republic, St. Thomas in the US Virgin Islands, Tortola in the British Virgin Islands, and their private island at Great Stirrup Cay in the Bahamas. And here we are departing out of Port Canaveral. Port Canaveral is in the process of expanding and adding a couple of additional terminals for more cruise ships, and will end up making Port Canaveral the second largest cruise port in the world next to Miami. Hopefully you find these videos fun and informative, and if you do, please do not forget to like and subscribe. Subscribing is free and it will absolutely benefit this channel. And it's just another typical day with everybody at the beach in Florida watching a flotilla of cruise ships depart the port. After sail away, we decided to explore some of the entertainment on board, as this is a new ship and has some new entertainment venues. The Glow Court and the Aqua Slide Coaster are all new on this ship, and we will come back later in the video to show you more of those. I love walking across these glass walkways. These are so cool as you're sailing across the water. That evening we had dinner in the Commodore room. It is one of the two included main dining venues that are on the ship. The other one is Hudson's, that is one deck above at the back of the ship, and it's a larger with a bit more of an impressive view. The food on board the Aqua was actually very good. I didn't have any complaints about any of the food we got in any of the restaurants or buffet area that we went and ate at. That evening after dinner, we spent a night at the Improv, where they had the family show early that we were able to go and grab a seat at by showing up very, very early to grab a seat. And then we finished off the evening on embarkation day with a little bit of dancing in the nightclub that the Aqua Theater turns into later at night. Since our next day was a day at sea, we decided to start our day off in the gym, which is a well-equipped but a little bit too small gym for the size of this ship. The cardio equipment does actually work with Apple and Samsung watches if you like that stuff. And then after the workout, we went up to the Surfside Cafe, which is the ship's buffet. This is a way too small buffet. It is not nearly big enough to handle all of the passengers on this boat that would like to come up and eat. It's also a very congested area, as multiple areas tend to pass through the buffet to get out to the different deck spaces up on deck 17. Like I said, the food is very good, but it is a little difficult to get to. If you'd like to eat here, I'm going to recommend you get there really early, right after they open, even maybe a little bit before if you want to grab a table in that buffet. Later that afternoon, we went up to the observation lounge to grab a drink before heading off to dinner at Hudson's. Hudson's is the second of the main dining included restaurants. It is at the very back of the ship on deck 7, and the food is very good. Unfortunately, we got there a little after 6 o'clock and ended up waiting a half an hour, a little bit more than that, to actually get seated for dinner. And then after dinner, we went out for a little bit of live music in the main Penrose atrium at the front of the ship and to grab a drink again. Now, we did actually pay to upgrade the internet to their streaming service, and these are actual speeds while at sea. They are pretty decent. After the Penrose bar, we went to go get in line for the adult comedy show at the Improv that evening. And this is the line. This line is at almost 50 minutes before the show starts. It's long.
I don't want to hear no heckling tonight either.
But the comedians are very good.
Trust me,
The next day we arrived in Puerto Plata in the Dominican Republic. Now, Puerto Plata has actually gotten better and better as just a cruise port itself and a place to be entertained without actually having to go do too much. The port area right here has been well developed and has a large pool area, actually 2 large pool areas, a lazy river that is very large and actually takes a while to go around and is free to use. The only thing you end up paying for is if you want to buy something in the shops, or if you want to get something to drink or something to eat. It really is just food, drink, and souvenirs are the only things that you really have to pay for. The pool areas are free to use, all the lounge chairs are free to use. It's actually a very nice, pleasant place to kind of spend the afternoon hanging out and maybe grabbing a drink ashore right here in the pool area. This first pool that you come to is actually one surrounded in concrete and has a huge pool deck going all the way around it. The second one is actually surrounded mostly by a sandy beach area and has a whole bunch of hammocks you can go lay out in. It's a little bit more of a relaxed vibe at the second pool, but we chose to end up going to the first pool and grab a lounge chair and actually end up seeing some of the louder music and some of the entertainment that they actually do put on over at the first pool on a daily basis. It really does turn into a bit of a party in the afternoons here. After returning back to the ship, we were a little bit hungry, so we decided to try out the Indulge Food Hall. The best way I can describe the Indulge Food Hall down on Deck 8 is that it is basically another buffet, but done differently. You sit down at a table, you have a little tablet that you're going to order all your food on from the different types of food that you can get. There's various different types of Indian, noodles, Latin food, barbecue, rotisserie style food. There's a bunch of different styles of food and it's all very good. So if you don't want to deal with a buffet and you want to come down here and just order something different, you're not in a bad place to try it. We went ahead and then did a little bit more exploring around the ship. I'm guessing this was just something they decided to have out here on deck 8 for decoration, but it's kind of neat for photography. That night we went to Palomar, which is their seafood specialty restaurant, and was the one that we got included on our More at Sea package. We ended up paying for a second dinner outside of what was included in our More at Sea, but the food at Palomar was very, very good, very tasty. I can't say enough about how good their dishes were. It was excellent to eat there. She always gets like this around chocolate. After dinner that evening, we went to the performance of Elements in the Aqua Theater. They would not allow flash photography or video to be taken, but they did not say anything about enhanced photography and getting a little bit of audio to go along with it. So Elements is a dance, story, magic, aerialist show that they put on in the Aqua Theater. It is extremely entertaining and all kinds of fun to watch. I highly recommend going and seeing this show. I'm sorry I didn't get to do video, but I could at least get you something here. And yes, they did actually have something that felt like snow falling at the end of the performance. After the show, we went up to the Latin Fiesta party up by the pool on deck 17. It was a all Latin dance party put on by the cruise director, and it was actually a pretty fun time. They even got a conga line going around the pool deck here. Our next day was our arrival in Charlotte Amalie in St. Thomas. We ended up not getting to do what we had originally decided to do here. I had booked a scuba diving and snorkeling trip through JJ Divers, and they sent me an email the night before letting me know that there weren't enough bookings for them to actually run the excursion, so they ended up canceling the whole trip on us, unfortunately. So we ended up doing something different. We went ahead and grabbed some lunch down in Indulge Cafe before heading out to St. Thomas. We simply just walked off the ship and went through their shopping area here and ended up going out the front gate, because out this front gate on the side street is how you get to the lifts that go up the side of the hill to look down onto the bay. The Paradise Point cable car is very simple and easy to get to. It's about a 10-minute walk from the ship, and it is $29 per person to go up and come back down. Up at the top, you will have a beautiful view of the bay where you can actually see both ship docks. There is one right by it. Luckily, we were on the one next to the cable car, and the other one is across the bay and has some other options, but for us, we got to do this. The top has a bar and restaurant that you can also go up to and grab something to eat and drink at while you're hanging out and having some time up there, getting some really cool shots of the entire area on this side of the island. If all of these really beautiful and amazing places we get to visit and share with you are something that you enjoy, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really does help out the channel. After coming back down, we went ahead and walked through the shopping area that's down by the port and the ships. We stopped off and grabbed a t-shirt. And all in all, with the cable car and grabbing a drink and some t-shirts at the end, I think it cost us a little bit more than $50 a person. So We ended up actually saving a little bit of money, but not necessarily getting to do the thing that I was really looking forward to doing in St. Thomas, unfortunately. After getting back on the ship, we ended up heading off to dinner at the Commodore that evening, which was actually very good. They had some really good food in there that evening. It was very tasty. And then after dinner, we ended up getting in line for the performance they were having at Sid Norman's Poorhouse. In order for me to get a seat in here, I ended up having to get in line an hour and 15 minutes ahead of time because of how small these venues are and how limited the seating is. But the show was really fun and entertaining.
And I cry my eyes out.
Oh my god, that's what all those used tissues are from! Somebody's gonna hurt someone before the night is through. I don't wanna lose your love tonight.
The next morning, we arrived in Tortola in the British Virgin Islands, and we ended up booking a tour through the ship over to Joost van Dyke, someplace we had never been, but was actually recommended by one of our friends as a really fun and relaxing little trip to go on. We ended up leaving very early in the morning. The ship was only in Tortola from 6 to 12:30, I believe. So this was a pretty early departure at 6:30 in the morning out on the pier. The trip actually took us across the south end of Tortola and was in a really actually very nice power cat that had about 40 people on board that took everybody over to White Bay and where the Soggy Dollar is located, someplace that is apparently very famous for their painkillers. The trip over was super smooth. The weather was beautiful today to go out on a little boat ride and to go spend a little time over at the beach. The boat we went across on was called the Rebel Yell, and they were actually very great about explaining where everything was when we got here. They were wonderful with their service. They even left a couple of people here to kind of help out with some of the service on the beach. and were prompt and very informative about everything going on. I would recommend you take them across. They were wonderful. The beach chairs here are pretty much all free to use unless they're marked otherwise for one of the hotels or resorts over here. The only thing they ask is that you get a little food or drink from them. It's not required, but they do all have a decent kitchen and all sell various different versions of a painkiller. And there's a little beach crab I found just hanging out on the beach. And a beach hottie that I also found hanging out on the beach too. So I'm going to give you a quick tour here as we go down the beach, and I'm going to speed up this 7-minute walk to make this a little bit easier for you to get a good look at the stuff that's here on the beach. These blue umbrellas are right there in front of the Soggy Dollar. That's about where you're going to go if you want one of the painkillers. And then as you head down further on the beach, there's a hotel and another restaurant. But as it was barely 8 o'clock in the morning when I did this, a lot of this really wasn't quite up and going yet. The BVI's is also a very popular place to end up chartering catamarans for 5, 7, 10 days, 2 weeks, however long they charter them for. And pretty much all of them will come over here and make a little stop in White Bay and the bay that's to the south of us here, and kind of hang out for a day or two or however long you want. There were a lot of very nice boats, and it only got busier as the day went on. The direction I'm kind of heading now is to the south. There's another beach that's across these rocks, but as we weren't out there for very long, I chose not to go to the other side, and I'm apparently not the only one out here trying to get some cool video. And this rocky walk here, bring sandals if you're going to go to the other side, because it's pretty rough on bare feet, as I came to find out the hard way. After hanging out here for a few hours and getting a couple of drinks in, we ended up going back and heading across back to our ship in Tortola. We really enjoyed this excursion through the ship, and we would recommend this to anybody to go spend a nice relaxing day somewhere in the British Virgin Islands. That evening, our dinner was at Sukhothai. It was the second of our paid-for specialty dinings that we had opted for. This one we ended up having to pay for, as the free at sea on an inside cabin only gets you one of those specialty dinings. But figured we'd try out Sukhothai, and we were not disappointed. It was really, really good food. After dinner, we ended up going to the Improv for another comedy show, but we apparently didn't get there early enough, and we ended up doing standing room only here. Afterwards, we went to the Aqua Theater to see the performance of Rumors put on by the same group that performed in Sid Norman's the previous evening. On our next day, it was a day at sea, and we ended up trying out the local, where we sat down and had table service here for lunch. The local is open pretty much 24 hours, so you can always kind of come in here and get something to eat if you want to at any given time. The food was really good. I enjoyed the variety in the Indulge food hall a little bit more, but it was actually very tasty. Afterwards, we went up to try out the Aqua slide coaster and the spiral slide. Now, the Aqua slide coaster, don't even bother trying to take a camera on because they will tell you no, as we found out the hard way. The spiral slide, they would let us take a camera on, but it just had to be attached to you in some way. So sorry, this was the best I could do with a wrist mount for video. Both of them are fun. They're not quite as scary as you think they are. The Aqua slide coaster is very fast in the beginning and then kind of slows down to a leisurely river slide down to the bottom after you get done. And the spiral slide here is very quick in the beginning as you kind of get dropped, and then it slows you down before you kind of get to the bottom. The pool area, this is how it normally is on a sea day. It is very busy out here, and you will be hard to get a seat. And that's how much she ate before I could even get the camera out, and she does not get any of my gnocchi. That evening we went to a performance of ABBA cover songs by one of the groups that was on board there, and they actually did a very good job. Unfortunately, it was standing room only at 50 minutes before the show.
For our tribute, here we go.
Our final stop on this cruise was in Great Stirrup Cay in the Bahamas. This is Norwegian Cruise Line's private island that they use as a place for entertainment. And we ended up using the opportunity to try out Tea Time. This is up on deck 18 and 19. It is a miniature smart golf course where it tracks your ball and your strokes, and you kind of have a little bit of fun throughout. The fewer the strokes you take, the more points you get, and there are opportunities to get bonus points as you go along. Just be aware that sometimes the golf course doesn't kind of go in order. So you start on 18 and do the first 6 holes, then you go across to the other side of 18 and up the stairs to deck 19, work your way back around, and then come back down to the final hole on deck 12. And this is where you kind of can earn some bonus points. If you get the question right, you get some bonus points. If you get it wrong, you don't get any bonus points. But it was actually a great time to go do this, as everybody was trying to end up getting on tenders and was getting ready to go ashore on Great Stirrup Cay. Whee! Surf golfing! That's a new sport! And yes, she wanted proof that she kicked my butt. After golf, we went ahead and went down to get in line as they had called our tender group, but as we come to find out, everybody was in line to get on a tender to go ashore. We didn't get to the island until 11 a.m. and people didn't really start getting off until a little after that. And this line was very long. It started up on deck 7 in the atrium, in through the Aqua Theater where you sat down for a little bit and then waited to get escorted out through deck 5 to finally get over to where you could get on one of these tenders to take you over to the island. All right, so now we're gonna kind of go on a little walking tour of Great Stirrup Cay. The beaches are beautiful. There is some music and entertainment. There's a lot of chairs. There are buffets to grab food at. There is very little shade, and as we came to find out, a lot of the umbrellas in the areas are $29 to rent, or if you want one of the folding clamshells, they are $49 if you'd like one of those. But here's a quick tour of the buffet that you come to fairly early on after getting off one of the tenders. Now, if you don't want to eat at one of those, you can actually keep going further back. There are more beaches, more areas, and there are also alternate places to eat that are also free. There is a kind of a barbecue place with hamburgers, hot dogs, jerk chicken. There is also another one that has fish sandwiches and ceviche, as well as additional bars and places to get something to drink. And there are tours you can purchase, but they tended to be kind of expensive. So there is a zip lining that goes around the island on the towers there. And don't quote me, I think it was $179 when we were on board just to go zip lining. And I didn't even ask about what one of those cabanas cost. Now, all of the food is included just like it normally would be on the ship. I do believe the drinks are also free if you have the More at Sea drink package as well. But we ended up just getting some water and juices while we were there on the island because it was a little bit sunny and warm and didn't want to dehydrate with a whole bunch of alcohol. We didn't stay for too long on the island, just to grab a little bit of lunch and to see the island and see what was there before we headed back to the ship to kind of enjoy the emptiness of a ship that everybody had gone ashore into Great Stirrup Cay to go enjoy themselves on land. This was us trying to grab a cute little shot of the back of the boat here. And then we also decided to go onto deck 8, where they do have some of the infinity pools, and grab a lounge chair and go try out some of the different spaces that were easy to get to now because pretty much the whole ship was on shore. We also got the opportunity at this point to go up and try out the Glow Court. And this is an interactive sports court. You get to do some stomp games here. You also get to play kind of a version of soccer and a version of basketball. They give you about 15 minutes to go play in here. You can play with each other, against each other. You can kind of set it up however you want, but it is very physically active and it's actually kind of fun. But at this point, it is free as far as I know. Dinner that evening was in the Commodore, where again we had just some really excellent food. We ended up going to the Prince rendition that they did after dinner, and then after dinner they ended up doing a show in the theater where both of the comedians came out and did a completely different set of comedy material for the adults only show there. Unfortunately, our time has come to an end on board the Norwegian Aqua, but please do not forget to like and subscribe, as subscribing is free and we will always have new and interesting content coming out for you.